Alright, so second round the map is quite a bit harsher, I think.
It certainly is.
Yeah, it's still a fair amount of resources, so I don't know. I feel like there's a scientist in the ice in the southwest, somewhere not directly adjacent to everything. Everything is close enough.
Yes, good spot for sure.
Maybe just anything really works there except for a scavenger. Like even an expansive would be really good, I think. In fact, Traffic picks an expansive right there.
Yeah, that's a fine found.
Yeah, the robot is also fine because this is a glass colony, so you do want to stay close to the silicon, and all of the good silicon is in the east, in the southeast, with no iron next to it. So Phil is actually going to try a very ambitious found with a very long distance shipment of iron. I don't know about that.
Yeah, but to be fair, he has only iron he ships far, the rest is fairly close.
I guess, but it's not that close, and the biggest problem is not just the shipping, it's the slow starts. Because he found it late, so he was a bit late to the buyout, and having no iron immediately adjacent means that he's going to have to buy it up for quite a price. Meanwhile, vampires, I'm not sure how to emphasize it. They pick the scavenger in the north. The problem with this found is there is no aluminium and there is no silicon around. So it's going to be difficult long term, I think, to get anything useful going for a while, unless you can get teleportation or something, which of course isn't easy if you can't upgrade quickly. I think I'm liking trapping this found the most.
Yes, me too.
One thing I guess the high water is actually fine. Another big bonus of it compared to literally, well, no, I guess all the others except, well, actually, I think that everyone can use ice if they want to, except maybe 2D back. Even he can use it if he feels like it. It's not really necessary because Phil has this cliff to the northwest, decent ice that can also be power. It's actually, I think, potentially a very useful cliff to have. Especially since power is creeping up, and water is creeping up as well.
The power surge on Tootbag will hurt. And that's why you try to spread out your claims a little bit more.
I'm usually, I don't think that it's so important to split your claims in FFAs, but of course, it's maybe not important to do the steel split that they do in 1v1, but usually you don't want to clump everything quite like that. So that's going to put him a little bit behind. The freeze on Trat's food is also very good. That should slow him down a little bit. So Phil is an interesting spot. So part of the idea behind his found is that he's close to good silicon, which means that he's able to make good glass pretty quickly, and glass is going to keep becoming just more and more and more important. And the problem with this, though, is that you're not going to be making food anytime soon, and you're probably not going to be making a ton of power anytime soon. So he's going to be in a lot of that very quickly. I think, well, I guess he's still actually 1 HQ behind most people, so it's actually not going to be that beneficial for him.
Yeah, and he's still faster to HQ3 than our scavenger, and that makes me a little bit worried.
Yeah, that's definitely a sign that if you're the scavenger and you are the last to upgrade to HQ level 3, that's a big problem, and a huge part of that is aluminium, I think.
Yeah, I was asking if it's the right moment to make a joke about black magic claims.
I assume you mean the wind turbine.
I don't know. There's one tile for water and one for power.
Yeah, but the water tile is fine. I mean, you want water, and this is water that you don't have to ship. So.
Yeah, sure, and the power tile is also fine, but I guess there's an argument to be made that you go 2 tiles of water on HQ2 and 2 tiles of power on HQ3, and you should overall be faster.
Yeah, that's a good argument, actually. Or if you really want to go power, then why not go for geothermal? So that's because a single wind turbine is like half commitment. It's like if you can't decide what you want to make, and you end up not making anything.
Sure, and Vampyrus has very, very cheap access to geotherms at that point, since carbon prices completely dropped.
Yeah, carbon is definitely not a problem. I will say that most players have moved into power, and you can see that Philothanix has just moved into a geo, actually. Oh, he's actually moved into 2 geos. Okay, that changes things. That's going to let him repay quite a bit of debt, but he's still going to be in trouble, I think, for a while. Especially because of all that shipping. Like you said that you're pretty close to everything, you still have to ship everything. And you can see that fuel is at 120 and no one's making it yet. And part of that is because of the problems that this map presents, where you don't really have any options than to ship at least something from those funds.
Yeah, on that note, I feel like Phil should have went into electrolysis reactors instead of his farms, since already 2 players were producing food, and yeah, Tread is going into fuel and oxygen.
I feel like when he moved into those farms, or when he was planning to anyway, it was still a very reasonable decision. I don't know about this third water play though. Water is really cheap, and you should just stop all the selling it, and that would solve the problem with the price. One thing I would like to point out though, is that one thing that I dislike about Tread being found is because he wanted to farm next to high iron, he found it away from the low aluminium tiles. I think I would have preferred a pound between the iron and the aluminium tiles so that you don't have to ship aluminium, and you would have to commit more tiles to it, but then that also means that you can move out of aluminium at some point quicker.
Yes.
And he would be closer to water, which is worse water than what he has, but it would be water that you don't need to ship. Because I feel like even with the excellent power moves that they did, most of these players, to avoid death, they still have this problem with fuel.
Okay, meanwhile, Philo and Treadping then both going into pleasure domes. And they are looking like a lot of money to be made from that.
Absolutely. You have 2 expansives and a scavenger who will eventually upgrade. Though you can see how consistently Vampyrus is just following behind.
Scavenger HQ has been upgraded.
And if you're going to be so far behind on upgrades to the scavenger, I really don't know what your advantage is in this game. Maybe cheaper off-roads, but off-roads aren't that great. It's actually good chemicals launch. That's maybe one interesting point, is that chemicals might become really expensive at some point, and no one really has good access to carbon. So I guess if I was Vampirus, I would be looking forward to a hacker array at this point.
Of course you would.
I mean, obviously, but even if it was anyone else playing, I would strongly advise to go for hacker array, because you have a free market that you control, that no one has any reason to contest yet, and most
Yes,
games,
that's true. And
no one will contest it in this situation, and that's because people generally don't punish that.
An expansive HQ has been upgraded.
yeah, and look about that. Philo is our second player to HQ5.
Well, he's an expansive, and he has finally got his expansive train rolling, making lots of things, moving into lots of markets. I'm curious as to how he's going to finish putting his claims. He's moving into a patent lab. That's the second patent lab on the map.
Yes, Tudibek has one, and it's still building.
It's frozen.
Yes.
I think he started building like shortly before Phil, so I guess they're pretty even on those, and in fact Phil is going to beat him to it. I'm not entirely sure what he wants to get there. I think teleportation is going to be a very reasonably important thing.
Yeah, well, fuel has dropped completely. Thinking machines, okay, it's good. And I would love carbon scrubbing. Ship chems produce chems.
Yeah, I like that. I think part of why I want teleportation so much is not just the shipping cost, because the shipping is still going to be relevant, I think. But because I would like to, instead of building these two claims next to the base, I would build them next to the aluminium mine and transition the aluminium mine.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you're getting rid of a useless claim and putting those claims to use very, very neatly. Also, there's some possibility of transitioning iron eventually into something useful. So interesting what Tudibak is going to queue. He's actually also queuing up thinking machines. I kind of can understand that, but are players really planning to rush off walls at this point? Opera are going to be good eventually, but if you're saying that they're going to be good eventually on Sol 5, well, then that probably means they're not that great. Interesting that Trad Penguin is just saying, I have a lot of cash. There's no reason to sit on them like Phil is doing. I'm going to try to buy up Tudibak, whereas Phil is saying, well, buy out you then.
Yeah, he's launching the counter-attack.
That's a great move, I think. Basically, that's one way of defending player, and I feel like if Trad Penguin is going to be stubborn and is going to push for a buy on Tudibak, if he can even afford it, then Phil is going to get him, because there's no way he's going to defend in time otherwise. And he's not really making that much money, especially now with the freeze, because part of what was making him money is the Pleasure Dome and a bunch of claims, of which he doesn't have that many, because he's only HQ level 4.
Yes, that's a good point. He's not even at 5.
Your stock is being sold.
Okay, but the whole situation is cleared out now.
Yeah, so Phil is in the levels of debt. That's problems. But he also has a ton of money, so he could actually move into an off-world. He's not planning to do that quite yet. He's moving into the Superconductor, as is Tudibak, and it's looking like Phil is going to beat him by a couple seconds again, which is just brutal, and that's demoralizing if nothing else.
Yeah, so they both tried to get thinking machines and Phil beat him, and now they was going for superconductor and Phil will beat him again.
Well, if he beats him
Whoa.
to another patent, I would seriously consider just rage quitting. Because that's just so annoying. So now the Tread Penguin is HP level 5, and he has put surprisingly not too many buildings next to his base. Well, he hasn't used all his claims.
We have a hard
Okay.
to come by land claim available to the highest bidder.
I feel like it's looking like a fairly even matchup between these three players at this moment. It could be anyone's game. I'm a little bit skeptical of Vampirus now. She managed to get quite a bit of good production going. She's HP 5. She's got some money. And she actually has an optimization center, which is the... She actually has a ton of optimizations queued up. Interesting. Yeah, okay, I think they're all in good shape. Phil has the most money, but he also has the most debt. He also has all the patents that he wanted. Including carbon scrubbing, which he wanted him to get. He's working on it right now.
Yes, and it's uncontested, so he will get it. I like it a lot. It's a solid move.
Interestingly, Trat and Phil also are building off-worlds.
Yeah, and Judy, on the other hand, has a hacker array, and he's going for a steel hack.
I wasn't really paying attention to what he was hacking. He had it for a while. It's an interesting choice. I'm not sure I quite agree with it. Part of why I don't really agree is because I think you want to try to get to off-worlds after all. Because they're becoming better and better. They're good at this point. I can say they're approaching 40k per second. And if cams are going to crash out a little bit, which they should sometime soon because they're really good at this moment, then they're just going to be excellent.
The engineers have advanced on manipulations to begin shortly. The black market is online.
Okay, Vampirus has her off-world down as well.
So at this point it's just 2D back, and that's why, yeah, this hack I don't agree with, because Tread Penguin is making steel. You need to move into an off-world. Everyone has defended themselves. I don't know if you can make enough cash with just the hack array. And well optimized. Actually, it's not even well optimized. He has had this optimization center for a while, but I don't really see a lot of optimizations done. At this point, he has fewer optimizations than Vampirus. And I'm shocked that no one wanted that tile. That's not only a good Pleasure Dome tile, but it's a great optimization center tile, which I think anyone wants to take for at least 6 or 7k that they had to pay for it. Now that cams are being murdered by 2D back. And well, a bunch of other people actually. The Vampirus has 4. I feel like the off-worlds markets are going to become even better.
Optimization routine successful.
So, doesn't say who targeted who the spy actually, but it seems to be Vampirus. Okay, so what happened here is Vampirus targeted Trat with the spy, and it's a pretty obviously misplaced spy because they're not covering the one tile away from the base. And yes, you can assume that the off-world is likely to be on the close tile, even though it's actually not possible with the hologram, because that's a metal line next to a electronics factory. But it's quite a bit more likely, as you're going to get more information if you just put it in one of the middle electronics factories. So everyone is defending himself.
Yeah, and only first of all, Trudibag has managed to get into an offworld for himself.
Pending market adjustments,
And he is the only one who has spies on his offworld, and
trying to bring
And by
he
a lot
is
of
the
different
first
players.
person. Yes, this offworld, it will get murdered.
Now,
It's
I will say though that the black market has been used very much by these players, and the prices are very high at this point. So there's only so much that people can do to attack it. Has a mutiny saved up for defending it. You maybe would consider just sitting on this cooldown to get another mutiny, like defend this mutiny right here, right now, and grab another one. And apparently there was a good squad though, so that's actually a troublesome situation.
bid now and you could win a core sample to discover new resources.
So Trat was the first to move into a second offworld, but that offworld was actually spied as well. So Phil is trying to fight over it. And I'm a bit disappointed Trudibag is still sitting on the black market and not trying to at least force another mutiny out of the players. He's quite clearly trying to push for another offworld, which is a good decision. But you kind of want to at least try to get the one that you own back. Oh my god. I think that was like 4 mutinies in the space of a minute. I'm not really going to try to figure out who took which, at what point and why. Let's just say that black market happened.
yeah. In the end, it seems like all players except Trudibag have 2 offworlds, which seems fine. So in the end, nothing happened. Is it fair to say? I don't know. Meanwhile, Fido is going for Vampirus.
And Trat is going for Trudibag.
Black market is open for business.
Yeah, Phil is just having a very clear attack on Vampirus, and the Vampirus has bought a bit into Trudibag, which is going to make her only
Kindly to saboteurs
a
and
bigger
villains.
target for Phil, even though he's a slightly more expensive one. I feel like you want to sell out those stocks and try to go for Phil, because she does have quite a bit of money, so, and that's exactly what she's doing, so I fully agree with this move. Just get that stock out. Trudibag building that offworld. Actually, I'm not sure what his money is in. He missed his stock, so at this point he's quite clearly heavily behind Trat Penguin, and it's very difficult for him probably to try to
Black market
save this
is
game.
on
He has less cash. He
Off-world shipment
has
launched.
fewer claims.
Get all the money.
He doesn't have any of his own stock. I don't know what has to happen for him to survive this game.
He at this point, I don't think he can save it for himself. But what I wonder is, should Phil continue his attack on Vampirus, because I don't see him winning if Trackpin is going to complete the buyout so much beforehand, which it's looking like he will do.
Look at all the money.
Well, I guess one hope would be that maybe Vampirus is going to be a better sub, which is unlikely. But I don't know. I mean, what do you do though? Because Vampirus controls all of your stock. So
Yeah, and at this point she even has more money than Fido. Not anymore. There was a
Yeah,
launch,
it's-
but they are fairly close.
yeah, well, Vampirus only has one offworld though, and she's building a second one, which signals that that's a ton of cash. If you look at the price of carbon, it's just not going to pay off in time, I think. And it's looking like Phil is going to make enough money before that offworld finishes, or before it pays for itself anyway. I think in this situation you're forced to try to win, to push the buyout before building second offload.
Yeah, I'm very interested what happens from this point on, because Fiddle and Vampirus, they need to team up on trapping, or they hand the game on a silver platter for him.
Trad Penguin has a really good. Well, Vampirus is really close actually. She needs to cancel that offload to do it. She has 100%, but the offload needs to be cancelled. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Launch affirmative. What a payout.
Launch, but you really need to cancel the offworld. Otherwise, Phil is going to make enough money any moment now. He's not shipping anything. He's waiting 3 seconds he needs before he can buy out. There we go. Yeah, Vampirus had a buy there, but unfortunately did not identify what needs to be done to actually get the buy. And apparently it didn't really take that much longer to acquire the sub, so I'm not sure that that Trad Penguin has quite the advantage that you are saying he would have.
Yeah, well, he had a head start of about 120k, and he's going to buy Fiddle first, which in order is boosting his own stock price, so Fiddle needs to make even more money to buy him. I think he's in the lead, but we will see how it plays out.
I absolutely agree with you. One counter argument that I have is that Phil has had his offload for a while, and if Phil pays attention and he spends that 50k, I think it's worth grabbing the offload gap, because that's 2 launches. It's essentially giving you a 50k into your pocket basically, and it's taking it from.
And it's taking 100k away from Trad. Yes, this mutiny is easily worth 110k.
I know, but 110k in 10k. It's, but it's
well, if
50k.
If you make 100k and or 80k at that point, and your opponent doesn't make it,
Yeah, but you also spend so much money. So essentially, no one really makes it. Okay, well, he stole 30,000 from Trad Penguin. That's something, at least. He also has. No, he still has this problem, though. His sub is making more money in the moment. For some reason. I guess would be that Carbon really got out of hand. So he's having that advantage. This sub is actually making it.
Yeah, and power, but power is dropping rapidly.
Yeah, but that's just what both subs are going to do. They're going to move into power, out of power, all sorts of weird things. Like they're both doing right now, simultaneously moving.
Yes.
Yes. Like hive mind of some sort. Phil is definitely still behind. One advantage that I did not mention is that I think he has better territory than Trad Penguin. Trad, I feel like he spent more claims on resources that Phil never needed to take. Like he spent 2 claims on Silicon, whereas Phil only has 1 claim. He spent 2 claims on Carbon, whereas Phil doesn't need Carbon at all because he has Carbon scrubbing. He has spent. He's actually keeping a lot of power at the moment, which is not really worth anything.
And no, at least the solar panels, they have no use.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you obviously want to stay in geothermal. That's not a smart thing to do, to scrap the geothermals. Not in this version of the game.
Yeah, but still, he has a solid 20% lead, and I.
Yeah, at the end of the. Yeah, it's still like I'm saying all these things about why Philostatic should be ahead, but it's pretty clear that Trad has way more cash at the moment. And I feel like I'm almost inclined to repay that or something like that. Actually, Phil is catching up, so it's...
Yeah, but Vampirus is doing great for Fiddle.
Yeah, She's a better sub, apparently.
Make room for the
Yes.
It's all going to come down to how the offworld launches are going to be timed, I think. There was a good freeze on Trad Penguin's offworld, but I'm not sure if it's enough. There's 98%, 99. Trad has the buy. Will he take it? He needs to cancel the launch at this point.
Yes,
And
yes.
there he goes. No!
Ah! Oh, that's painful. He was about to wait out his next launch and
Yeah,
he should have cancelled. Oh, that was
really-
close. It was very close.
Yeah, if you're 90 something, like 96%, and you have 15 seconds for a launch left, you really can't afford to wait that out.
No way. He had 10 seconds there.
So I guess I was correct.
Yeah, for sure. I was completely wrong. Trad Penguin had 0 chances at all from that point. Sure.
No,
Let's
I
go
think,
with that.
I think you were absolutely right about him having the lead initially. But I'm a little bit surprised about how good Vampires, how good of a sub Vampires was. I think if that wasn't the case, Trad Penguin would have taken this. But I guess the
Yes,
Carbon was really just excellent.
Yes, and I completely underestimated the money Vampires would make.
Also,
Because I thought Treadwing go get his buy first, and then 2D Bag would start first, making money for him, and I saw a pretty clear win for Treadwing, but it was definitely close. And well played from both, I guess.
yeah, 2D Bag definitely had the start making money for Trad sooner. One thing I'll point out is that Vampires, by not scrapping that offworld, what that did is essentially gave a free offworld for Phil Fanning. So not only Vampires missed her chance to buy Phil in time, but she also made herself a much better sub than she would have been if she had tried to go for that buyout instead of building the second offworld. Ooh.